All right, so there is a problem. Being a nice guy. I don't want to admit it. I don't want to say that it is even a problem, but quite honestly, I am a Mr. Nice Guy. I avoid conflict. I don't get my way. In negotiation, I'm the first one to break. In competitive environments, I am the one to say, I'm not really competing with anybody. That is a problem for me. And so this video is going to be me applying No More Mr. Nice Guy from Dr. Robert Glover. And this is chapter 1. In chapter 1, he goes on to actually explain the nice guy syndrome. The main takeaway I really got from the chapter 1 is that being a nice guy may seem like it's a good thing. You're nice. You seem to be different to other men. You are helpful. You are kind. You are, all of these beautiful, beautiful attributes, right? But it comes with a very, very dark side to it, which I'm experiencing firsthand, which is quite honestly just, first of all, like being manipulative. You see, when you're just being nice all the time, all of a sudden you just lose the ability to not be nice. You lose the ability to actually speak your mind. If you always avoid conflict, then in times of conflict, you completely fumble. And that is exactly what happens with me. And so as a side effect of being Mr. Nice Guy, you actually go on to be nothing but nice. Being manipulative, 100% a thing in my life. Being secretive. Sometimes, in order to avoid conflict, you just don't say some things. Wrong. That is bad business. All of a sudden, you are starting to build this world inside of your head where you're just constantly avoiding conflict, trying to, please everybody, not try to be a problem in anybody's world. And so as a result, you may seem like the catch, like the diamond in the rough, but it comes with just those negative attributes. And of course, you cannot truly be a man if you avoid conflict, if you can't speak your mind. If the paradigm inside of your head or the roadmap to your world is so outdated. A lot of the stuff, like the book says, comes from our childhood. A lot of the stuff that we believe and the way we operate the world is so outdated. It literally comes from childhood. So yes, these beliefs need updated. And that is what chapter 1 showed to me. This stuff is a problem. It needs a fix. And so I go on a journey to fix it. Stay tuned. All right, so chapter 2 now gets into the history behind what exactly gets a nice guy to become a nice guy. And obviously it's all in childhood, right? And so a big thing that this chapter specifically helped me realize is that this history of events, there are many and they are very powerful, right? It doesn't make me list out every single event where it reinforced a nice guy personality, which the stuff that reinforces it is feeling of abandonment, right? As a child, we had a feeling of abandonment. then we had a deep shame about that feeling, because it's, as a child, you believe that everything is your fault and it's because of you being in a specific way. And then third comes a coping mechanism of, like, let's just say my mom doesn't seem to like me unless I get like perfect grades. That one was for me. And so a feeling of abandonment, my mom doesn't seem to like me, right? Shame about it unless I bring perfect grades, because then, if I bring the perfect grades in, that feeling will disappear, right? And that's my coping mechanism. That makes so much sense. Oh, that was the cops. That was the cops on the bike, bruh. Maybe I should stop recording. Nah, I'm gonna keep recording. If I get pulled over, it's for the content. Hold on. And so so there's a lot of history behind becoming that, which is important to understand. So you can yourself go and uncover the moments where you felt abandoned, where you felt deep shame about it, and then you came up with a behavior that, that you would try. There was a coping mechanism. You could really, the book lists out, like, asks you to list out times when you were forced to believe that you should be some other way besides the way you are. And so for me, for example, I listed that, I had to have perfect grades, or otherwise I did not get love from my parents, right? That was a big one. I had to get the perfect grades. So different stuff like that. But then it also gives history about just history in general, where, as different revolutions happened, like, for example, where people were taken out of like the village lifestyle into the city lifestyle, all of a sudden the dad is working more, the dad is at work a lot more, and so as a result, the son just does not seem to have that much time with his dad. That is horrible. That is very bad for a young individual. The female education system, there's one male teacher for every 4 female teachers. That reinforces the Mr. Nice Guy, because all of a sudden we cannot expect women to raise masculine men. Might be a hot take, but I genuinely don't believe that women, if a woman who was woman her entire life, how can she create a man without living a man's lifestyle? A woman, no matter how masculine she is, no matter how much stuff she went through, simply cannot get crucial aspects of boys' development. That is a job for a man. And so when a man gets taken out of a family, boys suffer. And perfect boys, who are just boys, turn into nice guys. Chapter 3 starts off super strong by actually starting to give me insight into what exactly Mr. Nice Guy does. And I'm guessing it's also going to talk about how to reverse it, but man, the first thing is just so hard-hitting. I mean, the chapter starts with explaining how this one dude is a chameleon. Dog, that is literally what I be thinking sometimes. I'm like, every person I talk to, my goal is to just become likable. And it is due to the way the book explains it, is attachment for approval. So, looking big and strong, or, being funny or entertaining, or, just making people feel good. All of those can be attachments to actually you just feeling the need for their approval. And, then once given that insight, the book then proceeds to ask me a question of, if you did not care what people thought of you, how would you live your life differently? And it's like, Bo, you hear that question so many times. Don't live the way people want you to live the way you want to live, and how would you want to live? And you always think about that. But now that a given insight that this is literally, as a nice guy, this is like a tendency, this is your craving to get to that approval, right? But with getting that approval, you don't feel satisfied anyways. So it's like, if you're not getting satisfied with that approval, how would you live differently, right? And some of the things I wrote here, my phone is on 3%, so I'm sorry if it dies. But I left my apartment. I went to the gym just so I could write this and I could, talk about this. And I walk in and it's Friday night, it's 10 p.m. and there's a dude here. And it's like, I applied that perfectly, because I'm sitting there and I'm like, if I had this conversation and I did not care about what this dude thought about me, how would I have that conversation? I had that conversation in that way. And it was a good ass conversation, a good ass connection. Like, usually I just say hi to the dude and just be like, all right. You know what I mean? Like, Bo, I got out of my apartment building and I needed to piss. Okay, this is too much information. And I'm like, I want to piss. So I went and I pissed on a tree, dog. I'm like, I'm not coming back into the apartment. It's too cold out here. It was so cold. I'd usually walk fast. I sprinted here, dog. Do you understand? I sprinted here and it looked silly. Dog. I wore it, and I'm actually a professional dude. I'm actually a professional looking dude. I actually want to look professional for myself. I actually wrote on here that if I didn't care what people thought of me, how would I live my life differently? I wrote on here, I'd be professional looking even in settings where it's uncalled for. So I'd be wearing polos in the gym. Because I care about that for myself, legitimately. I just want to look sharp, right? For myself. But I was sitting there picking out socks in my gym shoes. And I'm like, I'm just gonna throw what I got going on here. I got unmatching socks and I got the Uggs. This is powerful. This is getting powerful, because just giving the insight and then switching, given the choice. Like, dog, a lot of weight can be just lifted off because if I had this conversation in a very PG way where I'm like, oh yeah, man, so are you in school? Like, one of the things I wrote on here, I'd be funny a lot more. And I was funny. I would say wacky things that I found funny. I'd tell people honest, intimate things a lot more. I told these dudes something, not laying out my whole life in front of the dude that I just met. But I told them things that I'm like, hey man, I'll be honest with you. On some things, where it was called for. I'd be loud when I wanted to and not speak when it wouldn't feel authentic. There's sometimes where you just talk and you talk and you talk and you just want to prevent this dead silence. Stop. Uncalled for, unnecessary, what for? Or being loud. Be loud, be boisterous, if it's called for, if it feels authentic. And at this point I'm talking to myself, right? But another thing I wrote in here is I wouldn't try to force people out of their shell. I'd just be out of mine. People have so many things inside of their head, so many bugs, so many, notions and so many different things that they think about. I cannot possibly care about all of them. I cannot possibly address every single one of them. I cannot possibly have every single person out of their shell on the same level of vibration as me and being like, oh yeah, man, I'm matching exactly what you're saying. That's just not possible. I cannot expect, I wouldn't expect them to be. If they're feeling like shit, I would just let them feel like shit. You know what I mean? I just would. I just would literally, instead of trying to, be like, oh, why is this dude like that? No, I'm out of my shell. I'm chilling. I'm feeling authentic right now. Wait, like if I'm pissed off, bro, if I'm authentically pissed off and I don't want to talk to anybody, I'd just be that. I wouldn't try to change much. I wouldn't really, you know what I mean? And then one more thing I wrote in here. I'd ask questions that are wacky, but I'd find interesting. And I'm actually gonna go ahead and leave this section off. Not leave the section off, but leave this part of this section off with a question that I asked this dude. It was completely uncalled for. But I asked him, hey, but on a day when you're having a really bad day, like let's say you were really pissed off, would you remain pissed off and try to carry out a day as effectively as you can, doing the stuff that's in front of you? Or would you try to psych yourself up and really try to bring yourself up so you can then feel better and then do the tasks? Because I feel like a lot of the times I just waste a lot of time. All right, but continue on chapter 3. It also talks about not only self-affirming actions, right? If I didn't quite care about what it took to please people, what would I do to please myself? Please yourself first, right? And that sounds slightly selfish. It sounds slightly inconsiderate, but really it's not. And here's why. As a nice guy, you have a perception that if you put yourself first, all of a sudden you're in somehow a bad person. Everybody else matters more than you do, and so as a result, you try to please. You wouldn't try to please everybody else if you didn't think that their perceptions were valuable. And so when you put yourself first, you are putting in your mind that you are in fact valuable, that you are in fact matter. And really a realization I had is that as a nice guy, you have a very low self-worth. Everybody else is worth more. And in a world where you are an individual. And so in a world where everybody is trying to take advantage of each other, it's very easy to slip into this serving others, but I don't matter kind of mentality, right? And so that's where that mentality was very valuable for me personally. Chapter 3 also talked about being perfect, how while nice guys make it seem like it's very, how do I want to say it, everybody's more important than them, right? Nice guys also want to pretend like they don't have any needs at all. That is why they don't need them met. What's the point? I'm very low maintenance kind of guy, right? And that actually comes with whether I check out the pool in January. That's wild. But that is also a thing. Nice guys come off perfect, perfect human beings. I don't need much. Oh no, I'm all good. I don't have any problems. I don't have any mistakes. I'm just kind of, you start coming off as a perfect person, if you don't have any needs or any kind of desires that you want met, and you just kind of like, oh no, I'm all good. And you also start hiding your mistakes. You start hiding your shortcomings. You don't really share much with anybody, and so you just start coming off as a perfect person. And that's where you start struggling. Like, okay, not you. Like, I keep wanting to say you, me. Like, this is perfectly describes me as well. But you start coming off as this perfect human being, and people are not attracted to perfect human beings, because we are all imperfect human beings. And so when you're this guy who just kind of has no needs, has no wants, has no like mistakes or failures or anything like that, kind of you keep everything your cards to your chest, that's not attractive. People are not attracted to perfect human beings. So the book actually went on to give us example of Teflon pan. It's perfect, but nothing's gonna stick to it. Like, nothing is gonna stick to that layer. Don't be like a Teflon pan, bro. You have mistakes, you have shortcomings, and just don't hide them, except that they are there, in fact. And don't seek approval of others. Seek approval of yourself. Chapter 4. Wow, is it a challenging chapter, because chapter 4 talks about in chapter 3 you prioritized self-approval over approval of others, doing things that you approve and not others approve, doing things that make you yourself proud of yourself, rather than making things that doing things that other people like. Well, chapter 4 goes even further by prioritizing your needs and doing things not what others want, but what you want, and looking at life through that lens. In fact, one of the action items in that chapter is literally go on and for the entire week do what you want, not what they want, not what you think they want, what you want. And quite frankly, it is, to nice guys, this may seem like this is almost selfish, right? The book is encouraging you to be selfish, but quite honestly, I'd argue a point that if you're a nice guy and everybody else matters more than you do, and if everybody's needs are above you, and if everybody else value is more than yours, then to recover from that mindset, you do in fact need to become selfish. You do in fact need to prioritize your needs. You do in fact need to do something that you want to do and not what they want to do. And so chapter 4 goes on to talk about your needs, and how when you're putting everybody else's needs above yours, sometimes you can go to such an extreme point where it actually damages your relationships, because everybody's needs are above yours. They feel pressured, and as a nice guy, you still have needs, but the way nice guys get their needs fulfilled is by creating these contracts where I do this and you do that for me in return, but the terms are never ever clarified. And so nice guys will do something expecting something back. There's always strings attached. This is also where you get this feeling that the world is not abundant. By the way, I keep saying you, me. I can confidently say that there is a case for me as well. And this is where the feeling comes where the world is not really abundant. You feel like it's scarce resources out here. And the way the book tells you to deal with that is by putting your needs first and prioritizing yourself and what you want, because that in fact does get you in that mindset that, hey, I am valuable, and hey, there are people who want to get my needs met, and there are people who are happy to help me out. There are people, because if you don't put your needs first and everybody's needs are first, you still gotta get your needs met. And so you create the strings, you attach the strings, you create these contracts. And that is relationship damaging. Or I should rather say damaging relationships even more. I really had to think on that. And I really had to really think to myself, I'm like, is this truly true? And I can say yes. Reason being because we cannot really experience and feel like the world is abundant and people want to help us if everybody else is above us and we never get our needs met by ourselves. If I'm constantly needy and I'm constantly in need of something, I don't meet my needs, I never put my needs first, I still need them met. I still do. If, for example, like this is an example of my own, like, I'm cooking breakfast and I have a girlfriend and like, let's say girlfriend and kids, right? And I need to go to my job, but I decide to, nice guy. And I'm not saying that like you should never take care of your family. No, that's not what I'm saying. But like in this scenario, right? You cook eggs for your whole family, right? You're still hungry. And you need to go to work. Right? You cook the eggs, and then, all of a sudden, if you're a nice guy, in the perspective of a nice guy, you then expect like, okay, when is she gonna cook for me? When is she gonna cook for me? Right? I'm not talking about if you were like some Sigma male who is, all around amazing. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about nice guys who, do that. They don't do that out of a place of abundance. They're like, well, okay, I'll do that, right? And then they feel like the other person is obligated. That is bad business. That is bad business, because what if your wife never cooks the eggs for you in the morning before work? Resentment. Oh, I do all these things for her. You hear this all the time. All the time. People don't put their needs first. They take care of this person, take care of this person, take care of this person. And then they wonder, why are they not taking care of me back? Why are they not doing these things back? Why are they... There's strings attached. If there's strings attached, it's damaging for a relationship, bro. So chapter 4, place your needs first. Chapter 5, let's go. Bro, I had a good morning. I had a quick little workout in the morning. I read the book. I've done some work for business. Man, I am feeling good. So chapter 5 talks about reclaiming your confidence, your power as a man, not as a nice guy. And it talks about how nice guys love to control their environment and try to smooth it out, make it as smooth as possible in attempt to control their life, because for so long they did not have control over their life. And that explains me through and through, because for so long, like, I need control because for so long as a kid I just had no control. I had feelings of abandonment. I felt feelings of not being loved, and as a result I quite literally just want to control my environment as much as possible nowadays in order to not have these feelings. And that's just not how life works. And the book gets straight into tearing through that little bit of garbage mentality. Life is just simply not smooth. And so nice guys fail to have power by, first of all, having victim mentality, but second, trying to control their world, because it is quite literally, it's just not something that you can do. And so definition of power that the book gives is so incredibly powerful, and the reason being is just because it's very straightforward. power is knowledge that no matter what happens, no matter what comes at you, you will be able to handle it. That is what power is. Knowledge that you're competent to handle whatever comes at you. It's not making sure that nothing comes at you, it's knowing that you can handle it. And that was so incredibly powerful for me. Like, I read that, I'm like, wow, bro. Wow. And so then the book proceeds to explain how you can gain power, and one of them is by letting go and understanding that it's not really giving up on things, but it's giving up on controlling things. It's giving up on, not letting them get to you, letting them be, understanding that some things, they just gonna happen, being okay with them happening. Huge one, such a huge one. Another one is facing your fears. Fears are gonna come through. They're going to come through regardless. Things that you're afraid of are going to come through. Bro, come on, dog. Fucking dumbass. Alright. People personal almost merged into me. Even though I'm driving one hand and I'm talking, I am locked in, dog. I am locked in. Right. Facing fears. Big one. Huge one. Another one is, what is it? Let me think. Another one, expressing their feelings, not in a wishy-washy way, but if you're going to suppress your feelings, if something makes you very, very angry, right? Somebody's behavior, whatever, if you're just going to not express that it did in fact make you angry, or it made you pissed off, or whatever it may be, you're gonna suppress these feelings, and from my personal experience, you're gonna start carrying it around with you, and if you start carrying it around with you, that residue is gonna just sip through your actions anyways. So expressing your feelings, letting people know if they piss you off, let them know. And it's not that like, you piss me, like, no, I feel angry about that specific situation. Don't blame other people, don't be a puss. You get what I'm saying. Another one, living life of integrity, being honest. Because when you lie, again, there's just that little bit of like, it diminishes your power. You start, you just get that energy. Quite honestly, just to be fully honest with you, I don't think I'm doing a good breakdown of this book. I really don't think so, because I'm just kind of spitting, and a lot of things I don't quite remember what it said. I know how I felt about it, and I know how I'm applying it to my life. But I'm not being like too good of an explanation on this, being fully honest with you. In the past, I'd sit here and like, oh yeah, this is good, this is good, this is good. No, life of integrity. Because I'm able to be honest with you, and because I'm able to state that yeah, I'm low-key not doing, I'm able to continue energy of strength. I come from a place of strength. I'm not afraid to tell you the truth. Okay, another one. What is another one? What's the other one? There's another one. Driving through the city right now. I'm approaching the city. Check this out. Austin. I love Austin. I'm not gonna lie to you. I do like Austin a whole bunch. Check this. Cool city. Beautiful city. But the last one, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why ladies would be watching this really, is setting boundaries. And it actually gave a really interesting example of how he'd test people's boundaries. He'd put a piece of separation, like let's say a rope between himself and the person, and then he'd tell the person, make sure I don't get in there, like don't let me get in there, and then he just start going over the line and start pushing people, right? And nice guys will quite literally let themselves be pushed 1 or 2 or 3 times before they resist back, like seriously. Or some of them got pushed all the way to the back. That is some of you guys. Sometimes I let people violate my boundaries. My boundaries are fairly strong, but some people just walk all over you. That diminishes your power. It really does. And so that was the chapter. Quite honestly, my main takeaway is that power is really just knowing that you can handle it. Whatever comes your way, you can handle it. You can face your fears, because the worst part, the worst thing that can happen, you can handle it. And if you can't work on being the type of guy that can handle it, say this affirmation with me right now. No matter what comes my way, I can handle it. I know I can handle it, no matter what it is. I'm gonna approach this goal, and if she rejects me, I can handle the pain of rejection. I can laugh at it. That is a lot of power comes from that. And say that until you believe it. That's the chapter. Peace.
Right, chapter 6. Now we got to reclaiming our masculinity, boys. Let's go. Check out the pump. We're working. Woo-wee. All right. Oh, wait, I gotta stay in front of the mirror. So on chapter 6, we are now learning what we can do in order to reclaim our masculinity, which masculinity is really nowadays a topic that people don't want to talk about. Masculinity is under attack, as you all know, and so reclaiming it is great. So one of the best ways you can do it is to become strong. It is go to the gym, get into some kind of sports. If you are strong, your outer garment, your shell is looking good, you will be good. That is step 1, or one of the ways that you can become more masculine. Step 2 is to get more male friends and start going out with your male friends more. Nice guys tend to have this thing of they get disconnected from guys. Most guys are jerks. Most guys I'm not like everybody else, and so that keeps them isolated, maybe even get them kind of hung up on their goal for connection. And so as a result, nice guys miss out on an extremely important part of being a man. And there's just some things, attributes, qualities, different ways that nice guys just missing out by not having male friends and not doing male things with them. This is where you're just demasculating. I believe that's the right word, demasculating yourself essentially. Step 3, find healthy male role models. Extremely important. Go to your church, go to your sports club. Just find somebody who you can look up to. Yeah, because then you can model their attributes. Make sure that they're not a nice guy too, because that you're just modeling what you already know. Push the boundaries. Talk to the competitive guys. Talk to the guys who do crazy stuff like cliff jumping or something like that, and go do it with them. Or go online. And there's plenty role models you can pick from. Pick them, look at how they act around women, how they act in life, how they face life challenges, stuff like that. And then the last one is to regain a healthy look at your father, because a lot of nice guys do stuff in order to avoid being like their father. If you had a healthy relationship with your dad, you probably wouldn't be quite a nice guy and you wouldn't have that problem. Especially for me, I know that I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. And so as a result, like I missed out on a good chunk of development. And so a way that the book suggests to do it is to, nice guys tend to go opposite from their dad. And so something that the book suggests is to write out some characteristics and place your dad on the spectrum, like write out this characteristic, write out the opposite of it, and place where your dad goes on it. And so what it will help you realize possibly is that your dad, I believe you place your dad on it and then you place yourself on it, right? And what it will help you realize is that you kind of created this caricature, like this character essentially, your dad may be not a good person, but it will help you realize that, maybe he wasn't just as bad. And I didn't quite understand this chapter. That's why I may be not doing a very good job at explaining it. But essentially, it's extremely, extremely important to regain a healthy outlook at your father. You don't even have to necessarily speak to them, but you just need to understand that maybe he wasn't that bad of a person. Because at the moment, what nice guys do, including myself, is look at what their father did and then literally go the opposite way. And if your father was the worst way possible, maybe he was an alcoholic, but if he had some good characters, you're gonna go the opposite from even those. And as a result, you're probably gonna become a feminine little puss. With all love. But yes, and that is chapter 6. Huge chapter for me for sure. We're about to hit this gym sesh, and yeah. To be honest with you though, quick update. I'm definitely feeling like this book is helping me out so far, and it's definitely like a journey like this. It's definitely upward trending, but definitely has ups and downs. Like today, I'm talking quiet because, I think there's people next door. That is not necessarily authentic. And yesterday I had the chance to talk to a girl and I kind of just eliminated myself out of it before I even got to talking. So I definitely, I'm progressing. Hudson just texted. All right, boys, I gotta go. All right, boys, minute of authenticity. This is a book on authenticity. This is a time to be authentic. And so I'm gonna share with you something that I don't quite like to admit. I don't quite like the idea of this is happening, but I'll share it with you. My friends just pulled up. No mind. No sharing, nothing. Alright, so what I was gonna share with you is my experience today. And there was a girl who a girl in a church who I find attractive. But quite honestly, I really enjoy talking to her dad. Just be me being authentic with you. I mean, it's like 11 o'clock at night. This is boys talk. And I speak to her dad. She doesn't come to church with her dad all the time, so I talk to him more than I talk to her. Right? And today I spoke to her for the first time while talking to her dad. And I found out that she just turned 18 today. Today was her birthday. I don't know, that's quite a coincidence, but I didn't know this girl's name, age, nothing. I'm not in this for
a relationship per se. And I guess the priest announced that it was her birthday, and all of a sudden, there's like a slew of dudes around her, looking at her, trying to talk to her dad. And I'm just saying, I'm like, that is so inauthentic. Because none of these guys talked to her dad before. None of these guys, like, you know, none of these guys. I didn't see these guys be here. And now, like, the priest announced that she's 18, all of a sudden, everybody's interested. Let's go. And so, a thing that I was going to share was that I discounted myself again. I was like, well, okay, like, these dudes can have it. Like, it's not time for me yet, and they can have it. It's fine. I discounted myself. Even though this girl is looking at me, even though this girl is laughing at my jokes, even this girl is clearly, you know, there's potential there. I discounted myself out of it completely. As a nice guy, I was just like, I didn't want to admit that this is a competition, that there is other members of the church, other dudes who are interested in this girl, and that I'm competing with them. I didn't want to admit that this is quite honestly like, these guys were not interested in her dad. These guys were not interested, like, they were not there, but they're all of a sudden, like, they're using this and they're jumping on this like hungry dogs. I didn't want to admit that I would have to be out of my comfort zone in order to get this girl. You know, I'm not talking about like quite a relationship, but you know, I didn't want to admit that. And I discounted myself out of it fast. And so this is just me being authentic with you and sharing with you something that I identified as a self-sabotage. And I need to do something differently. And as you keep watching the video, I'm actually going to share what I'm going to do differently. And you find that out as you watch the video. Retention strategies. I don't think anybody's watching this, but if you are, I appreciate you watching this. I genuinely do, because these videos are my journaling, I guess. And so somebody just following the mind of Nikita is pretty cool. I'd say so. So I appreciate you watching, and let's get back to the video. Got out with the boys today, shirtless, hiking, test maxing. We sparred after too, like we fought each other, so cool day.
Hey, buddy. He's letting me get real close. I'm not even gonna try touching you. Alright, boys. I'm gonna finish off these last few chapters of No More Mr. Nice Guy. I think I'm gonna honestly just pile them up together, because yeah, get the love you want, and then get the sex you want, get the life you want. The love and the sex one is I think it was valuable. I'd say it was a good read, but quite honestly, it didn't really stick with me. Not much concepts stuck with me from that specific chapter. And so for me personally, I think a lot of it is really ties in with reclaim your personal power, where you just need to, you have a whole bunch of baggage, and you essentially need to start living authentically. And from living authentically, you can then go on and get the love and the sex that you want. I'm gonna go chill by the pool, read my book a little bit, and then go on a hike with the boys. Let's go. Alright, boys, I just finished the No More Mr. Nice Guy.
and it is insane. So the last chapter is building your successful life, and quite frankly, it gives a step-by-step process of how to actually do it. I don't know if the steps are necessarily in order. Can't really call them steps either, because it's not really, I feel like it's just random concepts thrown at me. But quite honestly, for me, that is something I can refer to. That is something that covers enough aspects of my life where I can get behind this. So step one, and the very first thing that this book stated as a way to get the life that you want, or I want in my case, is face your fears. If you are afraid of something, you confront that fear. You attack it. You feel it. You do the thing through the fear. And quite frankly, I am bound by fear right now. A lot of my fear controls my life. Being full on honest with you, I'm afraid of going door knocking. To be honest with you, I am afraid to approach that girl. To be honest with you, I am afraid what success could look like for me. Being honest with you. Okay? See if I can get this a little better lighting. Doesn't matter, who cares? So facing fears. And quite frankly, that's one that's going to be a tough one. I might honestly start a series of me facing my fears throughout the times. I record myself door knocking. I record myself approaching girls. I record myself doing this, that, and the other. Cool. So second step. I can't call them steps. They're not really steps. But second is chart your own path. Consciously live life of facing fears, not settling for mediocrity, and make your own rules. Nice guys believe that there is a set of rules to life. There is a set of things that once they find out, they can live life perfectly, and life is going to be perfectly smooth, beautiful, and that's it, right? Adult, mature people don't look for these rules. They create their own. They create their own rules. And I don't want to, as a Christian man, I don't want to steer you in the direction of like, oh, you're your own God here. No, not at all. I would honestly commune with God and ask Him to help you figure out these rules. But you need to figure out your own rules, your own things that you live by, things that resonate with you. You're your own person. You're your own valuable person. And you have your own needs, your own wants. All of that is your own. So you need to figure out what exactly do you want as your own important, powerful, abundant person. Okay? Step 3 is let go of trying to do it right. Perfectionism holds you hostage, holds me hostage. There's so many things that perfectionism just ruins. The author of this book actually talked about it. It took him 6 years to write this book. It's not a big book. It took him 6 years because, at the beginning it started as a project of collecting his thoughts together. Then people suggested, hey, you should write a book about this because this will be very helpful for many, many people. all of a sudden that thought enters his mind, and all of a sudden he's sitting there and he's like thinking, okay, this has got to be a book, this has got to be a best-selling book. So he's writing and writing and writing. It's 6 years. His family is asking about it, his friends are asking about it, his wife is joking about divorcing him if he doesn't finish the book, because he's quite honestly procrastinating on it. It's got to be perfect. It got to be perfect. And so it wasn't until the author let go of that thought of it being perfect that he actually finished the book. It doesn't have to be perfect. Genuinely. Because if it gotta be perfect, then your creativity is dead. Your spontaneity and that energy of being able to just roll with the punches, it's also dead. Something doesn't go your way? No, it got to be perfect. You're losing a lot of momentum off of that. So let go of trying to do it right. 4, ask for help and let people be there for you. Actually repeat to yourself that this person wants to help you. Like, this person wants to help me get my needs met. People, you cannot do it by yourself. There's gonna be people in your journey. You can avoid it, you can, be this lone wolf, or you can just go on and ask for help and make 10 times more progress. Another day, I was throwing up. I was extremely nervous. I didn't want to go out door knock. I literally was like, okay, no, I'm done. I'm not gonna go door knock. Then I didn't ask for help, but my friend Charlie offered me help. And he's like, well, let's go door knock together. I ended up having the best day of door knocking I had so far, stats wise. Not even, I felt amazing. I felt decent. But the best day of door knocking so far is 1. 2nd, I actually ended up making a whole bunch of momentum. And 3rd, I had a great time and Charlie didn't mind helping me. If I just would ask, I would be making a lot of progress that I'm right now just leaving out on the table, because I just assumed that this journey gotta be handedly, like, all by myself. Okay. Then identify self-sabotaging behaviors and determine what I have to do differently to get what I really want. If you're going to continue doing the same thing over and over and over and expect a different result, we all know that's not going to happen. If something is not working, stop beating the dead horse. Get off of it. Identify, how are you self-sabotaging? As nice guys, we are masters at self-sabotaging. Excuses, like this is not the right time, this, that, the other. Identify it and choose to do things differently. For me, how this would in theory work for me, I am terrified of approaching goals. Terrified of it. I don't want to do it. I'm scared to do it. And I blame it on my past childhood trauma. In childhood I had a lot of bad experience with approaching goals. How would I do it differently? Let's this is on the fly. How would I do it differently? I would quite literally keep in mind the concept of Alex Hormozi and how you learn the most you will ever know in any particular skill. I would treat speaking to goals in that way, approaching goals maybe even, or even sticking around in this feeling of anxiety of approaching goals. The concept is, it takes 20 hours. First 20 hours of whatever you do is going to be the most valuable. Those are going to be the most valuable hours of you learning that skill. This is where you're going to learn 80% of the stuff that you're going to know for the rest of your journey. And so with that concept, I would probably just tell myself, I am just going to do it. I'm going to do it anyways, and my goal would be just to stick out the fear. Throughout that time, while I'd be approaching goals completely, like in complete fear, I'd get rejection for sure. But I think I'd also get a lot of success because I'm quite honestly, like, I'm not an ugly, uninteresting, unambitious man. I'm really not. And so as I would start seeing success, I'd just pick up on these cues, and I feel like I'd be doing myself a lot of service on that end. Yeah, because there's a girl at the church who I'm extremely cool with her dad. I'm extremely cool with her family. And today she actually turned 18. I didn't know she wasn't 18, or like I haven't really spoken to her again. Like just saw her a few times at church. And today I noticed that I didn't have any attachments to getting with her. I was speaking to her dad because me and her dad connected very well. And today I noticed that when the priest announced that she was 18, tons of dudes just started pouring in. All of a sudden just looking at her. All of a sudden just speaking to her dad. Speaking to, all this, that, the other. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wow. These dudes want what I want. And so my usual way of pattern of thinking would be, oh yeah, just let them have it. It's not my time yet. I think that I would have to do differently is to actually take advantage of my God-given gift of speaking and go and talk to her and express to her father, probably express to her father specifically, my interest in her, and see what his values are, and see if this would be viable. Maybe even speak to my priest and see, how do we approach this as Orthodox Christians. I think that would be the way to do it differently. So yes, that's number 5. That I spent a lot of time talking about that because self-sabotage is a topic that I am passionate about, because I am very, very, very much a self-sabotaging kind of guy. I don't want to identify with that, but quite frankly, like, just to be fully honest with you, fully transparent, fully authentic, I am. That's just the truth of it. And then the last one is view the world the way it is, abundant with plenty for you to have. And the book really just makes a really great point. I mean, if there are people who achieved extraordinary levels of success, if there are people who are doing what I want to do, if there are people who have the relationships I want to have, if there are people like that, then this must be possible, right? Actually, I have an affirmation for you. It's what one man can do, another man can do. I could really think about that. What one man can do, another man can do. So by walking around at like 11 o'clock at night, did I just hear a voice? Let me see. I can't fight anybody right now. My rib cage is like blown out. I was sparring my homie today, and he like landed a perfect hook to my rib cage, and now it hurts to cough. Um, but yes, so that is honestly so. Yeah, so view the world abundantly because there's plenty of stuff to go around. Legitimately, there just is. I mean, look at how much money is just flowing around you all the time. Look at how much you know, love is flowing around you. Like it's about to be February. Everybody's about to be like all loving. Don't look at it like, oh, they have something I don't. Like, look how much love is floating around. Look at it. You know. And something you also can look for is really just keep in mind, when you think about a yellow car, you will see a yellow car everywhere. So look for abundance. Aim to find areas of abundance where like you can see that life is truly is abundant. And you will find it. You really will. Um, and so this is it. That is the book. So throughout the book, my biggest three takeaways is that, first of all, to be a powerful man, let's change the angle a little. Thing. To be a powerful man, you need to be able to not want to smooth out your life and have this feeling of like, oh, like I just need to figure out a few tips and tricks to make my life as smooth as possible and so I can have control over my life, but rather embrace the chaos of life and know that you're the type of man who can handle it. No matter what happens, I can handle it. That will serve you 10 times better. That is concept number one. Let me think about my second one. Second concept is authenticity and aiming to live life authentically. Aiming to live life as though you are valuable. Aiming to live life as though you matter is actually a way that you can achieve whatever you want. The reason I say that is because I've recently been practicing that. I've been authentic with my mom. When I'm pissed off, when I'm nervous, when I'm this, that, the other, I told her. I actually feel closer to my mother as a result. I've been telling people things more authentically. I've been living life a little bit more authentically. I've been having more authentic conversations. Not all of them, by no means, not all of them, but I've been a lot more authentic. And so as a result, I can just see how I'm treating myself as though I'm valuable. And that brings joy to life. That makes it worth it. Live life the way you want to, not the way you want to live life, but the way that is authentic to you. That's powerful. And then let me think on my third concept. That was like the biggest one. Oh, I guess my other one is, so authentic living. That's what we covered. We covered the power. And then I guess my last one is that, like, genuinely there needs to be less perfection. There needs to be less of a desire to do everything right. There needs to be embracing of chaos. There needs to be an understanding that I cannot do it myself. It is when I am thinking that I can handle it myself. It is the idea of like the lone wolf all the time that keeps me in this loop. Like, I need to be actually able to come to somebody and say, hey, I need help. I need to be able to say, like, despite this is not being perfect, this is the way it's gonna be. I need to be able to do this, because otherwise I'm going to be making such a such an inefficient progress that I might as well just not do it. It's always worth doing it, I should rather say, but it's just so inefficient. The perfection outlook. I really think that I need to let go of that. But this is my summary of the book. This was more of an application video. This was an application of this book, rather than any particular guide or anything like that. It's me reading the book and talking about it. It's definitely life-changing. I want to watch this guide myself just to see like what my thoughts were, because quite frankly, I think you'll see a lot of difference in me. Like, not even you'll see a lot of difference in me. A lot of you guys, like, I haven't put myself out there online enough for you guys to have a track record of watching me grow or anything like that. But I am confident that a lot of things are going to change in me. As a result, it's going to bring a lot of positive change in my atmosphere. And with that change, I will be able to achieve whatever I want to achieve. Amen.